Yeah, so this is all about seniors, all about ending that year. And, I was talking to a homeschool mom the other day, and Diane, I know that you've been talking to a lot of moms about these things too, all about graduation. And, one of the things she said was, um, how do I know when I'm done? And I said, well, are you done? And she goes, well, I don't think we're done, but my son says he's done. He's 18 years old. He's working. He's got his own um, photography business going. All this stuff. He's completed his Eagle Scout. He's done all this stuff. And he says, Mom, I'm done. And she said, Lani, how do I know? Do we have to go through May? Does he have to finish his so-called curriculum to be done? Because, she's thinking, okay, what about English? How do I know when we're finished? So he says, and he's a really good English student, and he's like, Mom, I do all this reading, my technical reading and everything I'm doing for this photography class I'm doing and all this stuff. So she, her question is really valid, and it got me thinking, how do we know when to end? Now, obviously, if you're in a tutorial or in a co-op, or your student is doing dual enrollment, then when those classes are done, you're done. And that's kind of that's how we were. And I know that's how Diane, that's how your son was. We were all involved in the co-op and tutorials and dual enrollment. So we knew when those classes were done, you were done. But some of you might be, and especially with, all the things going on these days when they're probably not going to classes as much, how do you know when to quit? So we've got students who actually graduate in the fall. They're done in the fall. We've got students who have already graduated this year. You don't have to wait till May if you're just doing it to go through the motions. So with this mom, after talking to her, I said, you know what? I mean, it just seems to me like he's done. She says, oh, he's very independent, he's very mature, and in his mind, he is finished. So I said, well, at this point, you dragging it out till May, he knows it's just going through the motions. It's just checking off the boxes, because actually he's already done. So she was so excited, and she said, he's going to be so excited when I tell him that he can go ahead and graduate. So there's no magic date. You don't have to wait till May. When your kids are done, they're done. Now, this student happened, he was already 18. He's very mature. Like I said, he works. He's got his own business going, but you might be on the opposite end of the spectrum. You might have a student who's young, they're 17 maybe. They're not as mature maybe, or as independent as you would like. And, maybe they don't really feel like they are done. Maybe they really haven't had time to take ACTs and get those scores up for college, because the kids have had a lot of problems this year scheduling ACT tests. So, what if you're in that boat? Then you don't have to graduate them in May. Again, that's not a magic month, so they can go through the summer. And when we get into the nuts and bolts, Diane can get you, she can show you those dates, so I'm just going to do an overview, and then she's going to show you the specifics. And so they can go through the summer. They can go through next year and do a super senior year. They can go through half the year. And then, oh, what about Tennessee Promise? What if you have already registered for Tennessee Promise and maybe even applied to colleges? That's fine. You just let them know that your son or your daughter is actually not going to be graduating this year. They're not really ready. They have not quite completed everything. So you're going to kind of hold back something so that technically they're not going to graduate. Okay. And then you just do everything again in the fall. Register for Tennessee Promise, apply to those colleges, you know, or sometimes they'll just put you on hold. So, you know, I thought that was a really, really important question. And the other part of that was that she said, you know, one part of me feels like if we just stop now a little bit early, that I'm teaching him it's okay to just quit. And so that got me thinking too. And I said, you know, I taught my kids, once you start something, you finish it. You never quit. You just go to the finish line, you know, and if we said that was going to be made, that's going to be made, you know, if you start anything. But I told her, I said, you know, that's kind of backfired on me, because the reality is in life, sometimes we don't want our kids to continue in something that's not working, you know, and one of the really huge ways it backfired was when my son started college. He had learned that lesson, you do not quit, but he was in a terrible class. He should have dropped it and he didn't, you know, and so in those classes, when they don't do well, can cause them to lose the Hope Scholarship, which my son did actually. So, you know, I kind of wished I had not drilled that into him. There is a time to say, I think we're done, you know? And so for those of you thinking that you're done right now, that's fine. Go ahead and request that diploma, or wait till May. You might have a graduation ceremony. We're going to talk about that at the end. So this is a really, really important time. It's an exciting time. It's a crazy time. And, you know, I kind of felt like my homeschool journey had been this roller coaster ride, you know, ups and downs and turns and whoa, you know, and then all of a sudden in the senior year, you know, I got thrown off the roller coaster and I found myself just kind of picking myself up, shaking my head, going, what just happened? You know, because it goes by so fast. And then we're like, oh my gosh, what just happened? So we will address those emotions that the parents go through, you know, as well as the students. So your student might be feeling like that, and just know that if they are, they can do another year, you know. So that's just a little bit about the flexibility that we offer in the senior year. And now Diane's going to take us to our website and show us where all this info is.
Okay, thanks, Lani. So, you know, Lani kind of gave us an overview, and I'm going to get into, as she mentioned, the nuts and bolts. But I'm just going to add a little bit to her, you know, knowing when you're ready to graduate and how difficult that was. I have an only child who actually graduated last May, so right at the beginning of all this pandemic, and I kind of threatened that I shouldn't graduate him till we use all the curriculum I had accumulated over the years, which, you know, I had some elementary stuff that I had bought that we never used. And I'm like, no, we have to do that before you graduate. But that was just an idle threat. So he did get to graduate. I did. But so let's go ahead. I'm going to share my screen, get over here, and are y'all seeing it? Lani, do you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great, great. All right, so what I've got here is the screen that goes over the steps for graduation. And I know somebody had asked this in the Q&A, all the specifics of timing and when and what types of things to be aware of when you're going through this. So this is kind of a detailed portion of the website. And so I'm gonna kind of go through it slowly. And then at the end, I'll just kind of emphasize some of the key things that sometimes I see parents kind of miss a lot. I do want to mention, as Lani said, we've already been getting requests for graduation. I mean, we had students graduate in December, but it seems like every Every week I'm getting people who are graduating in February, graduating in March. So it is very flexible. You know, when I did a webinar, I think it was last week, on that you don't lose your flexibility in high school. You still have that. And we do have that right up through graduation. And so you can kind of tailor that and pick the date, etc. So one thing to know, first of all, is that Home Life Academy does not automatically graduate your student. Okay, we're not just going to look and say, hey, look, they've got all the credits, let's graduate them. That is you, the parent, who is going to request the graduation and tell us when you want that. So just because, you know, if you look in Apple Core, you're like, oh, they're done, you know, that's not the end yet. You still have to jump through some hoops to request the graduation and to finish. And you do request the graduation. I'm going to go over to Apple Core in a few minutes and show you exactly how you do that. You do that when the student is ready to graduate, and it can be anytime all their coursework is completed and that you've entered their final grades and their attendance. All of that has to be entered into Apple Core. So you're going to want to make sure that Apple Core is absolutely correct, absolutely the way that you want it, and that all the grades are listed and attendance. Let me mention about for attendance. The senior year, you don't have to worry about that 180 mark. You know, I mean, if they're done at 120, that's fine. You know, we had people in December that were done maybe at 90 or 85 or whatever. That is fine. You do not have to worry about that number of days really for the senior year, but you do have to put in something for attendance. So do put in the days, but those are the things that we're going to be looking for. As far as like the ultimate deadline for requesting graduation for somebody who is going to graduate in the 2020-2021 school year, the absolute deadline is September 15th. Okay, so you know, we do have students who go through the summer, and that's fine. The summer is considered part of the year right before it. So the summer of 2021 is considered part of this school year. It's considered part of the 2020-2021 school year. All right. Talks a little bit more about if you're, you know, if you don't request the graduation, that your student's going to get withdrawn. So again, make sure that you really don't forget to do that. I also want to mention that the 5th year senior is an option. Lani had alluded to that as well. And if your student isn't ready, if they're a young student, all of those are reasons that you might want to consider the 5th year. Actually, I think we probably had quite a few more do it this past year or last year because of the pandemic. And they're like, I don't want to, you know, graduate in the middle of this, and we don't know what college is going to look like. We don't know enough. So we did have quite a few students go ahead and just do that super senior year or that 5th year senior year. And we do suggest that you save a couple of required credits for that when you get to that point. Of course, to graduate, you have to meet the minimum requirements. There is a $50 senior fee that needs to be paid. Some of you probably paid that when you enrolled for the year. Lots of times that's how I did it, was when I went ahead and signed my son up for his senior year. While I was paying the other fees, I went ahead and took care of the $50 senior fee then. But if you haven't, you know, you need to do it before you request graduation. And you need to get the diploma before you're going to get any final transcripts that they sent out. When you request graduation, you're going to go into Request Manager. You're going to go into the drop-down menu and you're going to request graduation and diploma. You can get a diploma with a cover or without a cover. If you get it without a cover, there's no extra charges. If you get it with a cover, the cover is $25. When you do that, you are going to list the graduation date that you want on the student's diploma, listed on their transcript, etc. So you want to make sure that you're clear with what date you're listing as their graduation date. As I mentioned, Apple Core should be 100% good. We don't make any changes. Once a student is graduated and official transcripts have been sent out to colleges, it's too late to make any changes. I will say that when we do get a request for graduation, we do a final review, look through the stuff. So occasionally, if you have requested graduation, you may get a phone call or an email from me or Lani or maybe one of the other counselors that says, hey, you requested graduation, but we see you don't have anything listed. You've not had a personal finance, and you do need a 0.5 personal finance to graduate. So we are going to take a quick look to make sure that there's nothing missing. But really, as far as all the course titles, the way you want them, that type of stuff, that's stuff that you will want to check out beforehand. If you want the ACT included or SAT on the final transcript, you need to have sent those to us, and you need to say that when you're requesting transcripts. All right. Let me see here. The other thing before I get over to Apple Core is already we have students or groups that are talking about graduation ceremonies, and some groups are going to ask to prove that your student is ready to graduate. So it is very common for me to get those requests. My email is just Diane, D-I-A-N-E, @homelifeacademy.com. What usually happens is whoever's the coordinator for the graduation, typically they just send me a list of the HLA students, and I just go through them and say, yep, you know, they're on track to graduate. That's usually what we say, because lots of times they need that information before the students have finished. So if you need something like that in order to participate in a graduation ceremony, we can take care of that for you. So we'll be able to do that. Other times, if you just show them your 12th grade transcript review, usually there's a summary on the bottom of that that says, when the student finishes the courses that they're currently in, they'll be ready to graduate. And for some co-ops or tutorials or folks who are organizing graduation, sometimes that's all that they need. So you might want to ask as far as that goes. Now, we do say that we don't process graduation until all of your grades have been submitted. So just kind of be aware of that. If your student has dual enrollment courses, that may push out. If you need that dual enrollment course included on the high school transcript, if they need that to meet the minimum graduation requirements from Home Life Academy, we usually need to get that final grade from the school. And if you need help with that, or that's an issue, again, please email me, and we can kind of talk about how to do that. Sometimes we get really busy, as you can imagine, in May. So it's not a bad idea to get your request in. If you know you need your diploma on a certain day, you might try to get your request in 3 weeks ahead of time, maybe during our absolute busiest time. And you also have the option of paying a $15 rush fee for like a 3 days for us to process that. So there are some options there as far as entering that information. So I am over to let's see, a fake Lani account. So this one isn't real, but we use her. So I'm going to go ahead and log in as a family so you can see what the family would see. So let's see, test account. Yep. So what you're going to see is when you log into your My HLA account, you can click on and go to Apple Core. And then if you have a student who is a senior, you will click on View Report Grades. And so this student, who we have called Margie, we can see that we still need to enter the spring grades for this student. So I can, across from each of those, click on Edit Semester and change the grade from In Progress to whatever grade and save. And it will automatically be updated. So we will be able to see that as soon as you do that. So if I go through and add grades for all of these courses, I don't know why I'm giving B's, I'm being kind of stingy here. Oops, forgot to add a credit for that one. And all right, And then this last one is vexillology, which is the study of flags. And I actually entered that one because my son got fascinated with flags and joined some professional group about flags and was reading all about it. And I was like, hey, you know, he's done way more than enough for a credit there. So I gave him a credit for that. But so you list those final courses, you list the grades. Oops. Evidently, I have trouble talking and navigating here. Then I'm going to go back through AppleCore and just make sure I like the course names I've used, make sure there's no other issues. Oops, look, I see something here that's highlighted yellow. That means you can see I never gave it a grade. And I might look at it and say they don't need that course. So I'm going to delete it. Oops, forgot to give them their grade for their spring semester of Algebra 1. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure that that's in as well. All right. So now as I look through it, I might say, okay, this is how I want it. This looks good. So at that point, I'm going to click on this green clock for attendance. And for Margie, I'm going to add the days. In the fall semester, we did 90. I'm just going to, it's that easy. And for the spring semester, we're done now. And so let's say we've done 70. So I'm going to add that. And so I've got the attendance done. And I've got the final AppleCore looking the way that I want it to look. The other thing, if I just want to double check, I can click on this button that says graduation review, and I can look at the transcript review, counselor comments, and this one was completed supposedly in September of 2020. And so I can click on there and read all the comments that the counselor said then. However, now I know this is like 6 months later, so things have changed. I can click on current credit summary. And I can see that credits needed for each column were good. She has all the credits that she needs. In fact, has a couple of extra there in the electives. 6 were required, 8 were earned, and this column is credits needed, and so she's all done. So that is good. And again, if I want to see the detailed summary, I can click to go back to that and read the comments that were made by the counselor when they actually completed that transcript review. All right, so let's go back. Whoops.
Diane.
Yes.
While you're in AppleCore,
yes.
So we don't have to go back to it, can you go ahead and just point out the summary tab for our parents? Because lots of them do not know that that even exists, and they can just very quickly go and look at the summary tab. You know, if you just click on the view report grades for
yes.
Margie again.
Yes, very good.
Yeah, and then, you know, you can get their GPA and their courses just to make sure, you know, they've got those at least 22, and then you can look at their weighted and unweighted GPA.
Yep. Okay, so the summary button, you can click there. It's in AppleCore, and you can see that Marjorie has 24.5 credits, which is good. We require 22. And you can see the unweighted and the weighted GPA, which some of you may have needed, you know, if they were applying for colleges or scholarships. Also, if they've done testing and that's been reported to us, ACT, SATs, that will be here under the test button. Thank you. All right, so let's go back then to the home. Click over here. And I wanted to show you now that we've went through Margie's AppleCore. We've made sure the final grades are entered. We've made sure the final attendance is entered. We are now going to request graduation. And this can be kind of momentous, you know, for us parents when we realize that we're at that point. So you're gonna, from your page, go down to this where it says Request Manager and click on Create Request, okay? And then in the drop-down menu, you can see that you can request a diploma or graduation packet without cover. If I want the rush fee, I can click on that. I want one, and then I'm going to list the graduation date. So let's see. I think April Fool's would be a great day for graduation. So I'm going to list Margie's graduation as April 1st. And then in the comments, I have, more than one child. So I'm going to put, this is for Margie. All right. And then I'm going to here also list the date of graduation. Okay. And if there's anything else, sometimes the parent will ask me to check something for them or whatever, you can add those there. And then you click send request. Okay. So it's been sent. It's ready to get processed. Later on, if you want to check on it, you can log back in and you can go to Request Manager again, but this time go to View Request. All right. And you can view it and see when it was, what's going on with it. When I'm working on it, I may leave notes here. So for example, it's not uncommon for me to add a note that says contacted parent, we still need the dual enrollment transcript, but that will be noted there and you'll be able to see it there too. So if for some reason you didn't get my voicemail, although I will say I'm pretty tenacious when it comes to getting back with students who are ready to graduate. I'm going to call you. I'm going to email you. I'm going to do everything because we don't want that delayed. But that's another place that you can kind of check. And if the counselor did have some sort of issue, or maybe it's like credit is missing or you missed something, we're going to note that there and that we've contacted the parent or that information. So you can check that as well when you're there. So the other thing, or kind of the takeaways here, number one, all your final grades and attendance have to be entered in. Okay, Apple Core. Look through Apple Core, make sure everything is accurately represented. Then go to Request Manager and request the graduation and diploma. If you want the cover with the diploma, that is going to be $25 for the cover. You'll have to hopefully have paid your senior fees. If you haven't, we'll let you know that when you request graduation. But if you can check on that first, that is pretty helpful.
And was there a picture, Diane? Did you look at that on our new website?
I haven't looked at it on the new one. I've got an old one here.
Yeah, I know. I haven't checked out on our new site either to make sure we've got.
But I did get one from the old site. So let me just pull that up here real quick.
I will say, I think the cover is $25, right?
It is $25. So here's a copy. Can y'all see that?
Oh my gosh, it's gorgeous, y'all.
It is.
It's beautiful.
It is. It is.
I was so glad I got that.
Yes, I was too. I mean, it's just kind of a nice, and for some reason, it just seems even more official and more of an auspicious occasion when it comes in that cover. But it depends, but that is an option. The other thing that we send in your packet is we will send you a transcript that you can look at, and then like a sealed transcript. So if you needed to give someone one, lots of times it's not considered official if you've opened it and looked at it. It has to be in a sealed envelope from Home Life Academy. But yeah, so that is what the diploma cover looks like. That's what our diploma looks like. The other thing I want to mention is when you request graduation, if your student is going to college, that is the time to go ahead and request their final transcript as well, be sent to a college. So maybe your student applied to a college, you sent a transcript in, and they got accepted back in, maybe December or January, and maybe you're even already paying deposits and looking at housing, etc. That college is still going to want to see the final graduated transcript before they let the student actually begin their fall classes. Okay, so lots of times what they'll end up with is a hold on their account if they haven't done that. And sometimes that's a little traumatic for new college students to you know, be there at college and find out they have a hold, and it can just cause a little bit of anxiety. So what I recommend is when you go in and you request graduation, create a second request in Request Manager for a transcript, and just say final graduation transcript to and give the address of the college, or the admissions office, or, you know, whatever, whether it's an email or a physical address, so that after we do the graduation and that all gets approved, we send that out immediately to the college as well. So it is a good thing to request that also. As I mentioned, you know, I'm already getting requests. May is our busy time, but if your student needs to go during the summer, that is okay. The end of this school year is July 31st. The HLA school year is August 1st to July 31st. So if they need to finish up some in the summer, that's fine too. Just remember that you need to get the grades in, and then you need to request graduation. And I usually suggest no later than September 1st, just to kind of make sure that you don't miss that deadline there. So that's kind of the general information. If you need help, you're participating in a graduation ceremony, and they need some sort of proof, contact me. I've already had 1 or 2 groups send me some lists for me to verify that those students are on track to graduate. So please feel free to do that. Usually we do like to wait until the dual enrollment transcripts are available, but there's sometimes, you know, if they're not needed, there's things with it we can do there. So if that's an issue, please do reach out and we can talk through what might be some options. Lani, did I get everything there for the nuts and bolts?
Yeah, I'm thinking, and we haven't gotten a lot of questions. So, you know, if you miss something, I'm sure our parents will let us know.
Okay.
But I think you pretty much covered, you know, what to do, like, you know, when you do decide that they're going to graduate, how you do that. And again, we don't graduate them out. So you do always have to request that diploma. And she even covered, you know, making sure your transcript looks really good. You know, if they have taken some honors courses and you don't have those listed, put those in there. You know, those could make a difference for scholarships. If you request the transcript and you want their portfolio sent, then let us know that. Just put it in the request, we'll send that. If you want their class rank, we didn't talk about class rank.
Oh, you're right, you're right.
Okay, so we can do class rank, and it's based on ACT or SAT scores. It is not based on GPA. You know, because for homeschoolers, that's not going to be the same across the board like the tests are. So if your student has taken one of these tests or even the CLT, we can average class rank for your student, and that might be something that you want on the transcript. So whatever you want on the transcript, if you want a weighted GPA on there, like say the you know, the regular GPA is at 3.9, but the weighted is up over 4.0. You might want that on there for scholarships again. And if you want the class rank, we can put that on there too. If you want more than the highest ACT score, let us know. I want the 2 highest, because they might have different sub-scores, and some colleges do super score. You know, so they're going to take the highest English, for example, off one and the highest English off the other one. So we can put up to 3 ACT scores or SAT on the transcript. You know, the dual enrollment, the honors, and, you know, things like that are weighted, CLEP scores, you know, and they're noted on the transcript. So again, we're waiting on you to tell us what you want us to do, because we're not automatically going to put those on there.
Right.
So, you know, and then of course, you can't forget that final transcript to be sent to the college. So after the graduation ceremony, after you've requested the diploma, sometimes the moms forget that, oh my goodness, the college still needs that. And then we've got the request from the college, the next fall. So we never did get that. So that was great. And if you think of anything else while I'm talking about graduation ceremonies, just jump right in. And I see we've got a couple of questions here too. So, what do you do if your student is not going to be in a graduation ceremony? So let me share my screen. And, the best way to get to things, I think, on our new website is to type it in this little search bar up there. So if you type in, for example, graduation supplies, then this graduation ceremonies, this will come up. Otherwise, I don't know how to get to it on our new site, but you can type in anything up there in the search bar, okay? So this tells you a little bit too about if your student is going to be in a formal graduation ceremony. Most of the time, they're not going to need their diploma for the ceremony, and they're going to contact Diane, or you can, and she's going to say, yes, they're on target. You don't really have to have the diploma. They can just wait until their dual enrollment class is over. And you can still put on there the date, say it's May 8th of the ceremony for that graduation date. You can still do that. You don't have to, say, oh, it's May 31st, but what if your student is not going to be in one of these local graduation ceremonies, because Home Life Academy doesn't have one, that's across the whole United States. We don't have that. Maybe one of these days we could do a virtual one, but right now we don't have that. So our parents have done so many wonderful things, and you can do this even if they are in a ceremony, but they've still got a lot of family and friends that could not make it or aren't in the area. So lots of times the churches will have a ceremony, and that's always nice. What we did for our kids, even though they were in a formal ceremony, is we let them pick what they wanted to do. So some of them want to have a backyard barbecue and invite all their friends. Some of them wanted to have a big dinner at their favorite restaurant. And so we would do that, invite friends, family, and just have a dinner, Some of them want to, I'm trying to think of some of the other things that they've done, just a big graduation party somewhere or at their house. There's just all kinds of things. Some kids are more outgoing. They want a big deal, Some kids aren't, and they don't have all these homeschool friends, because they were mainly homeschooling with their family. And then you have a family thing, whatever it is. I love to include the students. Now, sometimes surprises are good too. If you know your kid loves surprises, give them a big surprise party. But some of you have students that would really not like that. And so in that case, you can say, what do you want to do? And this is your special day. This is something you will remember. Now, if they want to do a graduation ceremony with the whole cap and gown, they want to send out their own invites. And again, we've had students that put together their own little postcard invites or cards, and they're wonderful. A little collage of them all through the years, or it just might be casual, or it might be in a cap and gown. So go to this graduation ceremonies and supplies. We have our own swag on here. Class rings, you can get a class ring. Now you can also order these from Walmart. I'm going to tell you that, that you can go down there, or you can order and design all kinds of class rings, beautiful class rings. If that's something that you think your senior wants, which the girls are a lot of times into this more than the guys. We have senior sweatshirts, senior t-shirts, senior hats, all kinds of things on our website. And then if you click on this, the regalia package, you can get a cap and gown for $35. We did that. Actually, I've got 3 grandkids who have already graduated from Home Life Academy, as well as my kids. And so they didn't do the whole, graduation ceremony like mine did. So I got a cap and gown, and guess what? I used it for all 3. You save it, one size fits all generally. And so you just go to apparel and oh no, we're going to go to this regalia. That's what I want to check into. Okay, so you can get the graduation cap and gown and tassel for $35. Now the only thing you have to update every year is the tassel then, and they had the most wonderful graduation pictures. We've had them taken at Walmart. We've had them taken by friends who were photographers, and then we had the last one. They just took them themselves. Cell phones are so good these days. You can do the portrait. And so his turned out wonderful as well. So our colors for HLA are generally the blue. You can do the blue, white, gold. So usually it's the blue gown for HLA colors, that royal blue. But again, it's totally up to you. Let's see, what else do we have? We've got our Blue Eagles store. Last time I checked, it wasn't up on our new site, but look, now it is. So there's all kinds of things that you can do here as well. Shows some of the t-shirts and sweatshirts for your senior. That's just a neat thing. I'm very sentimental. Diane's going to start talking about this. We'll probably start crying, y'all. We're very sentimental. I wanted everything for my kids. And even if they say, like the guys, oh, I don't care anything about that ceremony. I don't care anything about pictures. They will. This is a very important time, y'all. It's just such an important transition for them. So I would say, go ahead and get some of this stuff, these memories. And then one more thing that I want to say before it's going to be back to Diane is, I get this question a lot. Let me get out of here and stop sharing. Okay, so I get the question, how do we know what to keep? From all their homeschool years, what do we have to keep? How do I know what to keep? So I have to say that I still have a humongous box of things. And my husband's like, why do you have all this stuff still? They don't even homeschool. And I just can't get rid of it, y'all. Like I said, I'm very sentimental. I'm very nostalgic. I just can't get rid of this stuff. However, I wish that I had thought about this a few years ago, because now it's overwhelming for me to ever do this. But while you're still in graduation mode, you might want to go through some of their things from, kindergarten on, their little poems, their pictures, their stories, and I'm not talking about all their math problems, but all the stuff that all the little things that they made, and you still have all their crafts. I do. I've got all these things. I've got their science boards. Oh my gosh. Oh, it's ridiculous. But you know what some of our moms are doing? And I don't know if you did this, Diane, but you might want to, is take pictures of all those things and get rid of them. Yeah. So take pictures of all these things and make photo books. Now, some of our moms who are really on top of things, they've got photo books for every year. First grade, second grade, on up. And then others have got one at the end that's got the whole thing. And I think that's what I would do, if I ever get a chance to do that at this point, but I want to. And then they've got those memories, and then you can name your photo book whatever you want, and it's theirs, and it's not going to get all torn up or thrown away. It's not just going to be a big box at mom's house. They've got those memories. So I think that is an awesome idea on how to keep things, but you don't have to keep anything. All your records are going to be in Apple Core. You know, they're not going to go away. So one of the parents asked that. Okay, so what else have you got?
Okay, so we spend a lot of time talking about your responsibility as a parent, getting these kids graduated, what things you need to do. So one of the things that Lani and I kind of wanted to end with is that you got to do some stuff for you too. It is a big transition when your student, in one sense, leaves the nest. Even if they're going to still live at home, there's just something different. There's something that changes in those dynamics. They are now becoming a young man or a young woman. So you need to kind of think about what it is for you next. Whether you're graduating your last child and your whole homeschooling journey is over, or now maybe it's going to look really different with one less child that you're trying to manage through homeschooling. So one of the things, I homeschooled my son like pre-K through graduation. He graduated last May. And, Lani had mentioned sometimes boys not being interested in this stuff. And that was true. He was not. He was like, I don't want to have a graduation. I'm not interested in senior pictures and, or all this stuff. I mean, it was just like, okay, he was already thinking, what's next, and he was focused there. So luckily my husband sat him down and said, this isn't for you really, it's for your mom, which was the truth. So we did go ahead and did senior pictures, and we participated in a co-op that we had been involved with all those years. So a lot of kids that he had grown up with. So there's a couple things though, that really that day, I could tell it meant something to my son too. Even though for months he had been saying, I don't care, I'm not interested, whatever. Really, I could see that day that it mattered to him. And he did, it's kind of like you go on this whole journey and it's like there's something that signifies the end of that journey. And I think we need, or the student needs to have something to signify that. I mean, I think it helps them process, this chapter of my life is over. Let me spend a few minutes remembering the good parts of that. And, then let me look forward and dream of what's next, and then kind of walk with confidence towards that dream, because we have, kind of closed the door on, in some cases, it's like closing your door on childhood in some ways. The other thing is, I didn't expect that to be an emotional day for me. I'm kind of, I'm not a real teary person or anything, but that day hit me hard. When we sat there and we had the graduation ceremony, and later we had a little bit of a party with some friends and stuff a couple weeks later. But it hit me harder than I expected as well, because then it really dawned on me, this is the end of my journey too. Not, even if you have other kids, it was the end of my journey with Emory at that point, because, we had got to the point where we felt like, you are ready. We have prepared you to take the next step, and you are ready to take that step. So just kind of be aware that there are, and sometimes they catch you at the weirdest times. There's a lot of emotions centered around that transition, and that's okay. As homeschool parents, we've been right there with our kids the whole time. It's not like necessarily they were going someplace different and then coming back and we had them for a few hours in the evening. I mean, we've sat with them while we've cried over math sometimes at the dining room table. And it really has been a joint effort. We've been a partner or guide with them through that. So it is an end for us as well too. And I do encourage you to take time to mourn that if you need to process through and remember all the good times, and appreciate who your student is today as a young man or young woman. Because, as much as sometimes I miss that little 8-year-old, I don't want to say nasty boy, because like sometimes he was out in the mud. So, you know, that 8-year-old boy running around barefoot, whatever. I really do appreciate the conversations and the talks and the friendship that I now have with my adult son. The other thing is to maybe start thinking of what is next for you. You know, is it an opportunity to maybe pursue some more volunteer work? Is it an opportunity to be a mentor to other new homeschool moms? Or do you just want to do something completely different? You know, maybe there's a certain job or something you want to try. But just keep in mind that it is a transition for your child, but it's a transition for you. I know when people ask me about how hard it was, one of the things I would say is, you know, really my son has been leaving me for the past 3 years. You know, I mean, he was kind of during high school, he was slowly being gone to more camps, or he did a lot of Boy Scout high adventure and camps, and then he was working. So he was slowly leaving me. So it wasn't like it was all of a sudden everything changed, but yet that was a day that summed up that journey. And it did. So I'm rambling now that I'm talking about it. I might get a little misty-eyed, but so just in general, take care of yourself. It's a transition for you too, and it is okay to you know, to have feelings related to that. Lani, you got anything to add to that?
Okay. Yeah, you're so right. You know, I can still remember because, you know, we work from home as counselors. We do Home Life Academy from our home offices. So when my last daughter was, you know, junior and senior, she did a lot of dual enrollment. She worked. She was gone a lot of the time. And so, you know, I'm here by myself. It's fun. It's fun, you know. And all of a sudden, when she graduated and I knew she was gone, that she was really like, and you know, she actually went to college locally. So she was gone in the dorm the first semester and then she came home. And so, you know, then she was in college and I didn't really go through so much of a high school thing because she was local still. It wasn't like my boys who were off in the military, you know. And so, but it was when she graduated from college for me. And you might do this if you've got kids graduating from high school, and especially if it's your baby and they're going off to college. You better expect those teary days because even though, you know, like Diane was saying, her son, Emery, was gone a lot. You know, they're not there with you most of the time. And, you know, my daughter certainly wasn't. But one day, I don't know what came over me. She graduated college. She moved out of the house. And I sat here one day and all of a sudden I just felt lonely. It's the same. You're still in your house. You're still just by yourself, but knowing those kids are gone, it is emotional. And I just started crying. I got so emotional. Oh my goodness. And I wasn't expecting that either. You know, but it will hit you. You know, when we were talking about graduation ceremonies, one thing I did not say is that when you're doing your own ceremony, I think what is so neat is to do a video. And I did that for my oldest granddaughter, who is only 2 years behind my youngest daughter. So they're so spread out that, you know, it's kind of like they were all mine, you know. So my oldest granddaughter was the first one to do the graduation ceremony, you know, not in a formal ceremony. So we did all the pictures and then I put them together into a video, and all those songs I can still just, I think of her still when I hear some of those. But that is a wonderful thing to do. And then you've got that, you know, again, you know, you've got that tangible remembrance. You know, you don't have the recorded ceremony. Well, you can record their ceremony too, but if you do a dinner or you do a, you know, a barbecue or something like that, you might not be videoing the whole thing, but you know, you've got the video that you've put together. And again, I think that it just really shows them how special they are, because how many times do we do special ceremonies? for our children. And how many times do we have special ceremonies our entire life?
Yeah.
You know, other than the graduation, the wedding, I mean, you know, these are important milestones. So I think that even if your kids say, my sons did the same thing, we don't care anything about the pictures, we don't care anything about that graduation ceremony, but I did that, and you know, I think it meant a lot to them. So so let's see, we've got another question here I'm answering, but I haven't finished. So can fifth-year seniors do work experience for credit, or do they have to have a certain amount of classes? Now, once your student turns 18 and they're not under any kind of truancy laws at all, they don't have to have the 4 classes that are required. So actually, if they're second-year seniors, you know, we do recommend putting in a couple of things so they could do the work experience, and then, you know, those classes that you held back because they are fifth-year seniors. So we don't want them to be showing that they actually could have graduated. It's just best, we've seen, to hold back, you know, hold back a half a credit in health or personal finance if you haven't given those grades, or maybe part of an English or math credit, you know, that you can give them, but they don't have to do the whole at least 4 courses, you know. And then again, they might be doing other things that will count. You know, maybe they do have a business they're running, or maybe they are going on mission trips and can do some cultural immersion. You know, there's all kinds of things that we can give you ideas on that, yeah, that could go on their transcript for that second senior year. Okay, anything else?
I'm just going to say, if you do have questions, you know, feel free to reach out. Mine is Diane, D-I-A-N-E, at homelifeacademy.com, and Lani's is L-A-N-I at homelifeacademy.com. And we're the ones that are spending a lot of time looking through the graduation requests and working with those students. So if you do have any special questions or feel like there's something kind of a little different in your situation and you want to talk about that, do feel free to reach out. And then also, congratulations to you and your students. Very good job, moms and dads.
Yes, yes. You need a high five too, moms. That's what your own graduation ceremony, I'm thinking. We did have a question, Diane, about the yearbook. So I told her that it was in our newsletters. She could email us, but who does those? Do you know?
I think, let me see. I am not sure. Let me see if I can get a quick answer. Sure. Do you know Jay?
Is Jay on here? Yeah, but you can always go back to your newsletters. We've got a lot of info. I know in some of those last ones it was in there, but I can't think now because we're always changing people and I can't.
Yeah.
So maybe, I don't know if you can look it up. But anyway, I've got our email addresses here in the questions. Now, are the questions generally accessible when they pull up the recording, those Q&As? Do you know? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they are either. Oh, Jay took care of the yearbook question.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, so he evidently answered that one.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so yeah, again, if you have any questions, oh, here's just one more from Teresa. Hey, Teresa, I haven't seen you in a while. Let's see, did you say day 4 courses? Okay, so what I was saying is, you know, all through high school, when our kids have to be in school and they're under truancy laws, 17 or under, then they do need those 4 courses a day Okay, so that's the minimum, 4 credits, right? But if they're a second year senior, they're probably going to be 18. Now, if not, you might want to beef up those courses a little bit and go ahead and have those 4 courses, if they're still very young. But most of our second year seniors, they might just have 2 courses, and that's fine. Okay. Oh, can't see Jay's answer. I answered that one, Teresa, with our emails, and we're gonna have to look up and see who that is. But like I say, go ahead and pull up in your email our newsletters, because we have all that info in there.
And if you absolutely can't find it, just email me and I'll know who. I will very soon know who the person is, and I will forward your email to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, all righty. That's all the questions. I think we're done, Diane.
All right. Well, y'all have a good day. I hope the weather's pleasant wherever you are. And thank you all very much. Okay.
Yep. Thank you.
All right.
We are
Bye-bye.
over and out.